Well, hello, and welcome to the Connecting Faith to Life podcast from Northwood Baptist Church in North Charleston, South Carolina. I'm Staci, and in just a moment, I'll be joined by my husband and pastor, Tommy Metter. We're all about helping you take your faith beyond Sunday and into every part of your life. We'll open the Bible, have some honest conversations, maybe laugh a little, and hopefully give you something to think about as you grow in your walk with Jesus. So whether you're on the go, taking a break, or just tuning in with your morning coffee, we're glad you joined us on the Connecting Faith to Life podcast.
How you doing, Staci?
I'm great.
Yeah?
How are you, Tommy?
We just had a date.
We did. You're going to tell the folks about the date.
We had a Friday morning date. We don't do Friday morning dates much. Friday is my quasi day off. It's to catch up on stuff we haven't done around the house. I teach some piano. Sometimes I work on sermon stuff or writing or whatever. So it's a quasi day off. Saturday is, who knows? Saturdays is just whatever.
I think we need to find terms. Day off.
Well, day off. Like I don't go to the office. I do things other than ministry. Like we go on dates.
Right.
And we went on a date this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, with the needing to define terms.
Date or quasi day off? Which term do you want me to find?
Well, right now I'm thinking about what you're qualifying as a date.
We went to get our haircut together. Very romantic.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
His definition of date.
We were together. I paid.
We were together.
We were together. I paid.
This is true.
So it qualifies as a date. We had time with our stylist.
We did, whom we love.
And who did a great job on our hair. So it was a great date. I enjoyed it. Great. I feel really connected to you now.
Do you
I think that's the first time we've ever been to get our hair cut together, honestly, in all 16, almost 17 years of marriage this month. May 17th. Anniversary, 17 years.
Ooh,
isn't that cool? 17 on 17.
Yeah, is that some sort of...
I'm sure there's something significant about that, and I'm probably supposed to get you some kind of medal or something.
A gold star.
Well, no, like it's
a medal for survival.
No, it's not our silver anniversary. It's not our golden anniversary. It's our
like a purple heart. I mean, like
you get a medal. 17 on 17. That's good though. We made it to 17 on 17. I didn't know that. I just thought about that.
I saw that on your face. It just occurred to you.
But in almost 17 years of marriage, we've never gone and gotten a haircut together.
I wonder how many married couples actually do that.
Probably more than you know.
Probably. Ours was a matter of time and space.
Well,
continuum this morning.
Yeah. So our worlds collided together today. We were able to go get a haircut together.
An explosion. Of haircut.
And we got a fancy haircut.
We did.
She's in a fancy place, like it was our own private room. That's the first time
the
ever.
Green velvet couch.
Well, that was in the lobby. That was not in her room. That's the first time I've been. It's because it was called a salon suite. She had a suite all to herself. Like it when you
could see the looks I'm giving.
I've never experienced anything like it though.
Well, out of the ordinary.
What? It's not out of the ordinary to go to a suite?
Anyway.
I don't understand. That was completely unordinary. How many salon suites you been to?
A word.
Unordinary? Yeah, that's a word. Trust me, I'm a doctor. It's a word. Salon suite.
You are a word doctor. Anyway, we digress.
Well, no, I'm not digressing. I'm talking about the haircut. It was amazing.
Amazing.
That's the first time I've gotten my hair washed for a haircut in I don't know how many years. That was kind of wild. I'm just saying, it was a new experience. The whole thing, it was a lot different than Supercuts is all I'm saying. A lot different than Supercuts. Not that I've gotten a haircut at Supercuts in recent years, but it was a great date. I feel really connected to you right now.
I'm so glad.
Speaking of connecting, what we try to do on our podcast is
connecting faith to life.
We try to help you connect faith to life. And we have lots of people in our church that are connecting faith to life. And I think about over the last few years, 7, 8, 9, however long we've been at Northwood now.
17.
Not at Northwood.
Not at Northwood.
17.
Truth.
We've been at Northwood a little over 8 years. And during that time, we've seen our college ministry, young adult ministry just explode. We have a great team. Randy leads that team and has done a great job being on campus, and we see all kinds of college students come to our church on a regular basis. We're seeing discipleship take place in the lives of our college students and young adults. It's been really, really cool. And so here's what happens when people are discipled and they're growing in Christ, then they're more willing, obviously, to do what God tells them to do because they learn to walk in obedience. And God oftentimes asks us to do some big things. And so we have a lot of these students that are stepping out in faith and doing big things. You think about our church in particular is the number one Gen Send church in the country. Out of that's not crazy?
Wild.
So what Gen Send is a program, if you will, of our North American Mission Board that sends out college students during the summer to various send cities. So we have send cities that are all across our country. These are cities that the North American Mission Board has said these are cities that we want to target because of the vast lostness in those cities. Cities like Los Angeles or Salt Lake City, those are two that we've been sending a lot to. Boston, those are send cities. And so we had a lot of students over the last years go to either Salt Lake City or LA in particular. I don't know how many we have going to Salt Lake City this summer. We have quite a few. I think we have 12 total that are going from our church, Gen Send, to either Salt Lake City or LA. There might be someone going somewhere else. I'm not sure. We're going to pray for them Sunday morning. But again, we love it. We see a lot of our college students doing that in the summertime. And then what inevitably happens as they come back from that kind of experience, they've just experienced an amazing experience where they were on mission for the whole summer, and their hearts now seem to be more open to what's next. And we've had some, like Mariah a couple years ago, who actually moved out to Salt Lake City area. We just prayed for this past Sunday, Josh Kovac, who left this week to make his journey to Salt Lake City. He's going to plant his life there just like Mariah has, and so we're really excited about that. And then just in the course of conversation, here we are in May, and so our college students, some of them will be graduating, and some of them are asking, what's next? Now, some have already determined grad school, master's degree, or already have a job lined up, or going back home and starting a career there. Some don't know yet quite what they're going to do, and so what can they do? And there are lots of options. One of those options is to give a couple of years and live on mission. I think we have one student that's going to be a journeyman for the next couple of years who's leaving this summer, and you were a journeyman.
Yes.
Back in the olden days.
A few years ago.
It was a few years ago. So that was back in...
At least 17.
At least 17 years ago. A few more. Right? When was your journeyman term?
We don't have to.
Okay, we won't talk about the dates.
But come of that.
No, but there were cars
people start
then.
Doing math.
Well, but there were vehicles, there were airplanes, like all those things existed. So it wasn't that long ago, right? There was the internet,
a covered wagon.
Right? Al Gore had already invented the internet. I mean, so there were things, right?
Yes, but it was not as fast as it is now.
No, it was still dial-up.
Technology has.
Well, no, there was. You were past dial-up. We were past dial-up because I was.
But I was in a foreign country.
Well,
with
yeah. Well,
digital cameras had just kind of.
Yeah.
Come on the scene.
Yeah, because we'll get into that because that was part of your experience.
Cameras?
Well, not digital cameras, but you did stuff with cameras, kinda. Well, no, cameras were part of the equation. Maybe you didn't touch them, but somebody did. At any rate, I'm getting ahead of myself, or not.
Oh, and I'm laughing.
I'm
trying not to laugh too hard.
There were cameras
there is
involved.
A microphone.
So,
not really,
so the deal was,
okay.
Right, like after you graduated with your master's degree,
correct,
you determined to spend a few years with the International Mission Board's Journey program, and it was for you, journeyman, journey person,
journey girl,
journey girl. You were a journey girl.
Journey girl.
Is that what you called yourself, really? Did y'all call yourself the Journey Girls?
Not quite. When you put it like that.
No, you weren't the Journey Girls. Anyway, but so you did, and we have several.
Actually, well,
we have several ladies in our church that were the Journey Girls, right? We have several that you've.
This is not. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, the reason why I wanted to talk about this because it was a great experience for you. Let's move on. It was a great experience for you, and for those in our church who are listening, who are at that stage in life where maybe they've recently graduated college, and they're just thinking about what's next, and especially if you're in the kind of situation where you're single, right? And you don't have a career picked out yet, and you're adventurous and just want to do whatever God has for you. This is a really, really good opportunity to use these, years in your early 20s to do something really extraordinary, right? Something adventurous, something that really is kingdom-minded. Now, all of life should be kingdom-minded, but to give yourself overseas for a couple of years for the sake of the gospel, like, that's a really good thing, right? You did it.
I agree.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
okay, let's talk about that experience. So you have always been the kind of person that was interested in international travel in general, like international missions for sure. But you was in college. Your first international trip was like what, in high school? You went to Europe and all that.
High school.
Yeah. So
Yes.
what caused you to have that itch to go in high school? But this wasn't a mission trip. It was just you went like
Well, I
backpacking
think
in
I've
Europe or
always
something.
been one who liked to go places and see things and have new experiences. But in high school, our high school offered a trip. I think it was my sophomore year. And I tried to talk my parents into letting me go to that one, and they didn't agree for that. But then again, on my senior year, the group was doing another trip. And in fact, that trip was expanding to a couple of more countries. So I talked to them, and they finally said, okay, we'll let you do it. They had blessed my brother with a cheap new first car. It wasn't new, but first car to him. And I said, well, if you'll let me go to Europe, I will not ask you for a car.
That seems like a pretty good
And
trade-off.
so they let me go to Europe, and I didn't get a car. And
My high school did not
years.
offer those kinds of traveling opportunities at all. We just hope that the goal of our high school senior class was to keep them out of jail. So it was a little bit different.
Well, I'm sure that was on the radar for, my school too,
in
but
Hespa, Georgia, out in the middle of nowhere, we couldn't even spell Europe. So I'm glad you had the opportunity to go to
yeah,
Europe.
It was kind of one of the requirements. You needed to know how to spell Europe before they let you get on the plane and go. I guess. I don't know. I didn't quiz everybody.
But from high school, like you had this interest
that's
in.
where. So I'm really grateful for that, because from that experience and being able to be overseas and to experience on a small scale other cultures just lit the fire.
Yeah.
I want more of that. I want to see more of the world. The more you see of it, the more you realize there's more of it to see.
Yeah, that's right.
The bigger it becomes, but yet, yeah. So.
And then when you were in college, you had an experience to go and study in England for a bit, and
Yes.
that was a big experience for you too. You really enjoyed that experience.
I did. Loved
I've
it.
seen the pictures, or some of them.
Have you, though?
Well, you showed me a couple.
Not all of them. There are always
that would
more.
take.
I think Katrina actually wiped out some of
That's unfortunate.
those memories. Yeah. Yes.
So,
But the memories live on.
but that
in my
was
heart
that was
and in my
a good
desire to
experience for you
travel.
too. Like that was a real.
Oh, yeah.
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 And then on top of that, so you had these unique travel experiences in high school and college. Did you go on any mission trips during that time, or like was that just school related stuff? Was your journeyman trip your first like international missions experience? I should know these things. We've been married 17 years and I don't know.
In college, I went to Mexico.
Okay.
But I think we actually stayed inside of the Texas border. So there was, like, right on the line,
Yeah.
there was that. And then while I was in seminary, went to Guatemala. So there were
Some experiences.
right, and
Okay.
different. My whole international experience was not limited to just Europe.
Right.
So there was the Western civilization, and then there were the more underdeveloped civilizations or cultures. So it was a not as broad as it would become
Right.
picture, but it was not limited to just Western ideas and
Yeah.
European.
But you had a lot of exposure to missions as a kid because you were brought up in GAs and ACT teams.
Okay, so not everybody.
No, not everybody knows that
Not
because those aren't
everybody
things
knows.
that we do as quite as often in churches anymore. We do Awana, a lot of churches do Awana. I don't know if any churches really do GAs anymore. Maybe there's a couple here and there. But GAs, Girls in Action, got you ready to be a journey girl.
If you could see his face. He's saying the stuff about and there was also RAs.
There was Royal Ambassadors.
Royal
that
Ambassadors.
I did that a couple of times. That we didn't do that much at any rate. was not as active in Royal Ambassadors as you were in the GAs.
Historically, it was harder to find men to
it was
plug
just
into
different.
those.
GAs was always a lot stronger than the RAs.
Yes.
But there was lots of missions education in that.
Exactly. That was one of the fundamental things about GAs was to learn about missionaries, to give to missions, and to go.
Yeah.
So to provide opportunities for even the youngest of little girls to be involved in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so all that was familiar
missions.
to you. Like you were not unaware of what missions was,
and
we grew up, and whether I was in RAs or not, we grew up in churches that talked a lot about Lottie Moon, like we do at Northwood, and so that exposure was there.
I think early on though the word fundamental is coming back to mind, but those fundamental important seeds were planted in hearing stories of missionaries. As a young child, I remember hearing missionaries talk about the fun things that in my mind were fun, but the challenges actually, as I look back, there were challenges that missionaries faced, but to see how God intervened in those challenges and to see those powerful stories of how he moved and touched lives and hearing those things from, I don't know, second grade on maybe, and just being exposed to missions wasn't just a preacher going and talking to people, and having that expanded view of missions can be just about anything, or missions is communicating the gospel, but the format of communicating the gospel can be through any kind of profession or job, so to speak. But it doesn't even have to be a technical job. Right.
Just as long as you are in an environment where you're regularly sharing the gospel, you're living on mission. So fast forward to seminary, you graduate seminary and you apply for the Journey Girl program.
You keep saying
Journeyman program.
People are going to be Googling Journey Girl.
Yeah, it's not. Don't Google it.
Don't do that.
But how did that come about that you actually got involved with IMB in that particular program?
Well, I had known about the IMB just at that time. It might have been the Foreign Mission Board.
Yeah, I don't remember when it changed over to the International Mission Board. So if you're not familiar, the International Mission Board, which used to be the Foreign Mission Board, is part of our Southern Baptist Convention that we cooperate together to send over 3,000 missionaries to serve all over the world. Through your regular giving to our church, you support IMB, and we take a offering every Christmas, the Lottie Moon Christmas offering, along with thousands of other churches in our country, to support the work of missions all over the world. And so the Journeyman program is a part of the International Mission Board that gives young adults who are single. Now, there's a different track for married people, I think, if I remember right. But if you're a single adult, and I could be wrong on some things because I'm not up on all of the IMB stuff right now.
The Journeyman program.
But the Journeyman program was for single adults in their early 20s who would go and give 2 years in another context for the sake of the gospel. So you're in seminary, you knew about the IMB, Foreign Mission Board, and how'd you learn about the Journeyman program, and what was that experience for you that kind of led you in that direction?
Well, I think just having an openness towards missions kind of throughout my formative years, but then, and I had done non-international domestic missions. I had spent summers doing missions here in the States, but and through those processes you hear things, and I'm not sure that there was some sort of light bulb moment where I went, oh, Journeyman. But at the time, my roommate in seminary was applying for career missions appointment, and so I knew that kind of wasn't the track I was headed in right then. So I, as you do, explored what the other options were, and Journeyman just aligned with where I was currently in my personal situation.
Yeah.
So
and the Lord uses Journeyman to call a lot of people into career missions.
Yes.
So it's a good place to kind of get the experience and learn and see, and it's just a 2-year commitment. If at the end you can come home and pursue whatever it is that God has for you in the States, or you can go back through the IMB process and become a career missionary. So it's a good place to kind of explore, what the options are for you.
Right. And at that time, and they may still, there were 1 year options. There were, which having done the 2 year, I think the 1 year would just be so fast that it would be potentially difficult to really kind of settle in. And then by the time you get your momentum, it might feel like you were ready to come back. I know that there was one going through it that was doing the Olympics that year that I went. And so that was a 1-year commitment. But also at the end of the 2-year term, there were at that time potential other things that you could do, maybe re-up for another year or after you came back. And I mean, so there were other things that you could explore. But for me, at the 2-year point, it was time for me to come home. And that's what I felt like the Lord said, I completely completed my commitment and was excited about that. So,
yeah. So, and you had a pretty interesting assignment because you actually got to be in lots of different countries. You weren't, now you lived in a particular country, but the way it worked for your particular assignment, they sent you to various countries. So you got to experience lots of different cultures in a particular region of the world. So tell us about that assignment that you had.
Well, I worked...
And this has to do with cameras.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It was more with microphones.
Well.
But I can see why you would say that.
Thank you. I've seen the pictures.
I don't think they were... The camera was me taking the picture. But anyway. So my assignment was working with the Jesus Film Project. And if you've ever heard of the Jesus Film, it is a film that Campus Crusade, and I believe they still own the rights to it. It was made sometime in the 70s, and then Campus Crusade owns the right to record languages for the film. So in essence, it's dubbing new languages over the same picture. Mm-hmm. So it's the audio that we worked on.
Yeah. So you had a suitcase of audio equipment that you would take into various countries, and you would find people in that language that would do the recording, correct?
Right. It was, it could be anywhere in the process. So so back that up just a bit. The film is based out of Scripture, almost completely straight from Scripture. I mean, there are some things that you have to adapt to film to make it make sense, but it is taken from Scripture, the book of Luke, and it goes through the process of being translated by certified Bible translators, which are more difficult to find than you would think.
Oh, I would assume they are. Absolutely.
And some translations don't even have a complete book of the Bible already published, and when you have a new language, the missionary has to go in, learn the language. Some of them are not written, learn the language, become familiar with it enough that they can then communicate it in writing so that then you can have it checked for theological soundness and all of the things.
Very specialized skill that takes years to develop.
Right. If you can imagine just walking into a new people and not knowing their language at all and them accepting, just the cultural barriers to that can be overwhelming as well. But all of that to say, it can be anywhere in the process. So it can take years and decades for even the book of Luke to become translated enough so that one new language of the film could be then recorded. Right. And it goes through all these processes of fine-tuning it before it even becomes a script. But what our role was to be able to jump in kind of on the end of it and see that language be recorded into a new language, then sent back to the refining process at Campus Crusade's headquarters, and then they would dub it in and put it with the video and do all the things that they needed to do.
And then eventually that film would make it back to that land where it would be shown for the masses, and that's how they use that film for evangelizing particular communities.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And what God has done with that film, if you have, this is tangent, but you can look up Jesus Film Project and you can see on their website just all the amazing things. Yes.
Yeah.
So if we were just going to talk about the Jesus Film, I could take all the time on that.
Right.
But
so with the International Mission Board, though, they offered you the opportunity to be working on that film in conjunction with Campus Crusade. And so you did that for 2 years. You had to take a suitcase around with all your recording equipment, set up and do all that kind of stuff. So it was a unique experience because obviously not many people have that kind of experience to be recording for a film on their missionary journey. So you had a very unique experience.
Right. And don't think, recording studio. No, we're talking like metal shipping containers converted into a place where
just whatever we can do to make it happen.
we can, transport people
It wasn't
past the
wasn't Hollywood.
onions.
It was not Hollywood.
Not at all.
No.
Even what we have right
The
now
Journey Girls
is
were
like
not in Hollywood.
glamorous and
Right.
glorious compared to the Journey Girls were not Hollywood.
Yeah, but you did with that. Like, so the region of the world that you were in was North Africa,
Middle
in the
East.
Middle East. So you lived in Cyprus, which is really tough because it's just
it was a good
gorgeous
gig.
island.
It was a good gig, I can tell you.
You had
It was
views of
a
the
really
Mediterranean every day
nice-
when you woke up. No.
No, we
But
were
close, you could-
inland.
okay.
We were inland, but it was not. I mean, it was 30 minutes to. Might have not even been as far from where we live now in Somerville to the coast here in Charleston, but we did not wake up.
You didn't open the windows
up
and
to
the fresh breeze from the ocean.
right now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too far. No, but it was. There were moments in time.
It was a welcome
where
retreat.
It was a very welcome retreat from don't drink the water and make sure that. Yeah.
Because while you were living in Cyprus, they would send you to places like Sudan and Djibouti and where else?
Very good.
I know. I remember the
Tommy.
pictures.
Those two.
Yeah. Which is fun
Yes.
to say Djibouti.
Yes. Morocco, Guinea, Tunisia. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the craziest place was probably Sudan
Yeah.
and Tunisia. We actually met with Bible translators in Sudan. We didn't actually record at that time, but it was all a process.
So in that experience, like you really got to be in some very underdeveloped places and see real poverty and
Yes,
spiritual
indeed,
warfare.
definitely.
You got to be among tribal peoples and like that whole experience.
Right. Yes, and we could feel the spiritual warfare at times, and in fact, there are several missionaries that are no longer with us on this earth because of their commitment to serve in those areas. That even in the 2 years that we were there, that we met, that are, I mean, I can think of two people right now. One was IMB, and one was a gentleman who kind of hosted us on one of our recording trips, and so while it was great and fascinating and an adventure, there was also an
The reality
element
of
of the
what we're
reality
doing.
was
This is not just a fun trip.
A
This
third
is-
one comes to mind. I mean, yeah, it was potentially very dangerous. We were followed by the secret police in different places that we didn't know until after, and we had to be very careful and all of our interactions and things that we as Americans take so for granted, our freedoms. We have brothers and sisters who are in places that it really does mean death or life for them to call on the name of Christ.
So as a 20-something-year-old young lady, to go and have that experience and to be in not only, on the mission field, but in difficult places, like you think for you, that would go on to shape the rest of your life in a lot of ways.
Oh, definitely perspective for sure. I mean, our very first African experience was to the country of Chad, and I remember our driver and just being very hot and dusty, and we had to have a driver everywhere we went. We couldn't go unescorted, especially as two females, but I remember him pointing to both sides of the same, I mean, we were on the road, and on one side he would say, for Christians, it is death for them to live on this side, but life on the other, because of the persecution and then the stories of this gentleman's father being a preacher and being buried alive for his faith. I mean, just right out of the gate, these kinds of stories. And so, yes, those kinds of experiences shape you for sure.
Yeah. So you think about if you're someone who is younger and you think about what to do next, giving 2 years to something like the Journeyman, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be in a difficult place where as difficult as
that could
Chad.
have been like,
but still,
not supposed to be a like,
right.
Don't do
Well,
this.
yeah, but all that.
All
saying,
you mamas out there,
yeah.
God's with them.
That's
So,
right, and not every experience is the experience you had, but they are all life shaping.
Sure.
You give 2 years of your life away in international context for the sake of the gospel. That's going to profoundly shape the way you view life for the rest of your life.
Right.
So if you're thinking, about these experiences you had to be in these challenging places and the work you got to do. And it was later on, right? Like when you came off, because you were just in the recording. You never actually got to see the Jesus film until you came off the field later and you went back to Guatemala on a trip, which is not obviously where you didn't work on the language there, but you got to see it in action somewhere where you didn't get to actually see it in action when you were in the Middle East and North Africa, correct?
Right. So there, again, with the different stages of the project, what we did would send our work back to the States, and then it would be compiled and sifted through, and then it would have to be reviewed again to make sure that all of the words that were spoken were actually heard correctly. I mean, just all the process. The closest thing during the recording was at the end you would do a review, and I remember with the actors, those who actually participated in the film, as many as could be there or who were able to, wanted to be. And I remember on that first recording, it was a training trip too, to help us to know how to complete the process. I remember being in this dark room and the actors had come and there were children, and I had worked with children before, and I knew that children didn't sit still and all those kinds of things, but these children were on the edge of their seat watching the incomplete process. It wasn't the package, the shiny, already finished. It was just hearing us play the audio while they tried to watch the film with it. But I remember these children sitting on the edge of their seat the entire time and watching the life of Christ unfold in front of them, and just the emotions and how people are wondering why can't they get him off the cross? Why is he dying? Why can't we help him? And you're talking about cultures that in that time may or may not have even had a TV ever in
they're
their
not
face.
exposed to media like we are on a regular basis, and to see this story played out before them, there's a different reality to it.
There is, and it is, this person would do that for me, and every time that film is shown, then it is communicated to them. The gospel is clearly stated for them, and it is explained what they've seen on the screen was actually a person who lived. And we just have all grown up with screens. We see TV, we can kind of disengage and say that's not reality or whatever, but the fact that these people were not exposed to that, and they would see for the first time what Jesus, an artist's rendition on a film, could portray what Jesus had done for them. I can see, I'm in my mind right now, I'm seeing that little boy sitting on the edge of his seat and just overwhelmed by what Jesus did for him. And so, yes, those kinds of things shape you, and then you feel the joy of being able to share that, but also the burden of, wow, how many other people, how many other cultures
need to hear the gospel.
Do not have access to the written word in their language. And so, powerful.
So
that was the closest, that if that kind of comes back to your question, that was the closest I got to actually seeing the actual showing of the film while I was working on it officially, and then had the opportunity once I had come back to the States and just involved in a church that was doing a mission trip, and got to go, and they were going to show the Jesus film, and I was like, yes, I want to go on that trip. Yes, I need to go, and actually got to see them show it in the village in Guatemala at the end of a day of medical missions. So yes.
So these amazing experiences that God allowed you to have when you were in your 20s that profoundly shaped the rest of your life. Now think about our church and our college students, our young adults who are in their early 20s and trying to figure out life and just wrestling with what to do next. What's the next step? And some of them have maybe thought about international missions. Some may have not thought about international missions. From someone who has had the experience of being on the field with a 2-year program, journeyman, what would your encouragement or advice be to that young lady or that young man who's trying to figure out what's next? And how would you encourage them maybe consider the option of giving your life to missions for the next 2 years and just see what God does?
Well, there are lots of things I could probably say, but what comes to mind when you're saying that is, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? If you have nothing no responsibility to speak of for, I mean, if you're not already in a career, even if you were, but if you're not in a career, if you're at a juncture in your life where you are trying to explore, not married, trying to explore what's next, and you have the Holy Spirit.
You can give those years.
Yes. If you have the Holy Spirit who is leading you towards missions, why wouldn't you? Yeah. There are some things that would inhibit. I mean, you need to have your finances in check and different things that they walk you through in the process. Right. But why wouldn't you? Yeah. You don't have to fundraise to do Journeyman.
That's right. That's the beauty of the IMB is that they take care of your financial needs while you're there.
And I realized
just get to go serve.
That being there and being with other people from other sending organizations that did have to raise money, even Campus Crusade, they couldn't spend all of their time just working with the Jesus Film. They had to also be actively involved in raising support, which there are benefits to both. But I remember just having these moments while I was overseas thinking how grateful I was for the faithful giving of our people and picturing people like my mom who she's 90 now, but over the years, just faithfully giving, not always seeing or knowing where that money might wind up overseas, but knowing that giving to like Lottie Moon or giving to the cooperative program that gives to our IMB, knowing that those funds are completely funding not only people doing Journeyman, but entire families.
That's right.
They're not allowed to have other jobs while they're there. Yeah. So they're completely dependent upon
the generosity of
our people. And how grateful I was. Like, I just remember stopping and being like, who am I that I get to do this? You may never feel qualified, but the Lord saw fit to let me do it, and I was grateful.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you for sharing that experience.
You're welcome.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Was that the question that
helped.
Answered the question?
Helped. Yeah.
So if you are contemplating, maybe I should, then I would just say, do it. Go for it. Get online, see what the process is, explore it.
Because here's the deal, right? Like, when I have these kind of conversations with people who are determining those next steps, especially when it comes to missions, like, do you really think God's going to say to you, that's a really bad idea? You're giving your life away for the sake of the gospel in a foreign country. I don't think God's going to look at you and say, that's probably a bad idea, right? And I also know this, that, I don't think I've met someone yet who's been on the mission field, even with all the challenges and difficulties, and man, I really regret doing that. That was a waste of 2 years or 5 years or whatever the time is, right? Like, you don't regret kingdom work. You don't regret.
No.
You regret following the Spirit and doing what you sense that He's calling you to do. So
I think sometimes what you regret is not doing it sooner.
That's exactly right. And that's my regret. I mean, I didn't go on a mission trip at all until after we got married.
Yep.
So don't be like me. Be like Staci. Be a journey girl or a journeyman.
But yeah, it's and it is a process. It's a process of
but I made up
interviewing.
For it. Did a lot of trips after that.
You did, but it's a process. I'm talking about
the journeyman.
Yes, it's actually a process. And so through that process, I think the Lord obviously will bring to the surface if that is something He is leading you to do. Right. The doors will close if He's got another plan for you.
That's right.
And if His plan for you is to serve overseas and you keep going through the process and the doors keep opening, then
it'd be clear to you.
Why not?
That's right.
Yes. And the world is big and there are lots of people in it who do not know about Jesus.
That's right.
And there's never going to be too many people telling people about Jesus.
That's right.
So are there other questions that I didn't answer?
No, you did a good job.
Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
No, we've gone 40 minutes.
Oh, you're like, too much. You've shared too much.
We're out of time. You shared perfect. We were out of time, though.
Wrap it up.
We'll have to do part 2. I don't know what part 2 is, but we'll figure out part 2.
Okay, so is this when I bounce it back to you and say...
It's already bounced back.
Tommy, wrap it up. Tell us
Well,
what
thank
to
you,
expect.
Staci. Hey, thank you. I hope that today's episode has been helpful for you and encouraging. And if it has been helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you get new content delivered to your device every single week. Leave us a 5-star review. And as always, we hope today's episode has helped you connect faith to life.